I'm not teaching, I'm publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK Test Part 78, Constitutional Monarchy, the Bill of Rights, that is on page 33. So we just had read here that at the coronation of Mary, the eldest daughter of James II, who was reigning together with William of Orange, the ruler of Netherlands, who was in England William II, and at the coronation of them both there were something read. And in 1689 there was the Bill of Rights made, and in that is declared that the monarch had to consult the parliament if he wanted to raise taxes, and he had also to ask every year for funding for the army and navy. At the coronation of William and Mary, a declaration of rights was read. This confirmed that the king would no longer be able to raise taxes or administer justice without agreement from Parliament. Administer justice, we have not mentioned that 2 times. So, these changes meant that, so we get a bit more explanation, meant that to be able to govern effectively, he could not administer justice, and he had to ask the Parliament for fund of army and navy. Meant that to be able to govern effectively, the monarch needed to have advisors or ministers who would be able to ensure a majority of votes in the House of Commons and the House of Lords. So they are both important. He seems to be still in the necessity to need the agreement, the approval of House of Lords and House of Commons, who are both together the Parliament. So if the monarch, so king or queen, wanted to rule, let's say rule, effectively, even though they are maybe starting not to rule at that point anymore, because he needs to ask Parliament so much. So to govern, how to rule effectively, but I'm intentionally staying with rule because it's easier. So to be able to rule, the monarch needed to have advisors, so people who are giving him tips, and also ministers. So people who are giving him tips, but are doing that in the way that they are there for the king in the Parliament, something like that. But so they are not going. They are. I'm lacking vocabulary. They are people who represent the king a little bit. I guess that's it. So he had advisors and ministers, and he needed to have them so that these advisors or ministers could ensure that the people in the House of Commons and House of Lords, who were voted in 3 and 7 and now 5 years, do agree with him as a majority. He needed to have advisors or ministers. Maybe that is meant over the centuries that were first advisors, the ministers, or I'm pretty sure they are just both, and oftentimes they are both the same person. Let's read on. There were 2 main groups in Parliament, known as the Whigs and Tories. The modern Conservative Party is still sometimes referred to as the Tories. This was the beginning of party politics. We will do no shoulder impingement training. Have I announced it? We're doing shoulder impingement training every time when I read something, and if you participate in the shoulder impingement training, that is your own risk. We're doing shoulder circles. We are going in front and up and back. And now we are starting up the other way around. We're going back, up, in front, and down. Up, in front, and down. Back, in front, and down. And now we're changing back, up, front, and down. And last round. And we're starting always with in front so that we end with going back, because the problem of shoulder impingement and in general is that the shoulder is too much in front. So we don't want to end with bringing the shoulder in front. We want to end with the backward shoulder circle as the last part of this exercise. Now we're doing the shrug. If any exercise causes pain, most likely it will be the shrug as the first one, then don't do that. They should not cause pain. If any of this exercise causes pain, there's something wrong. But if you're here for shoulder impingement training, it's likely that you have shoulder impingement, and then the shrug is one of the first exercises which will hurt. And if it hurts, then don't do it. It makes it worse. We are lifting the shoulders up, the arms up, and now we are shrugging the shoulders up and releasing it all again. And again, the arms up, and shrug the shoulders up, and release it all again. And again, the arms up, shrug, shoulders up last time, and release it all again. And let's go a bit through with the world lift of the next exercise. Good stand, long arms, hands back to fists. We bring the arms into internal rotation, so turn to the inside. The arm with shoulders down and together. And we're opening the chest a little bit to the sky. And we're doing it under pressure, so turn the arms to the inside, shoulders down and together. Now the arms to the outside, and the shoulders are still going down and together. And the arms are changing, the arms to the inside, the shoulders are still going down together and open the chest a little bit to the sky. And the last time the arms are changing, the arms into external rotation and shoulders down and together. And a similar exercise. The arms to the outside, the fists a little bit in front. They're bringing the arms into pronation, so turn the arms in front. And the shoulders down and together. The arms in front, the shoulders down and together. With pressure. And now the arms back, and this time the shoulders are changing. Shoulders up in the front. And we're changing, the arms in front, and the shoulders down together. And the last time changing, the arms back, shoulders up and in front. The arms back, shoulders up and in front. And releasing. So, let's go through that section. Word for word. These changes meant to be able to govern effectively, the monarch needed to have advisors and ministers who would be able to ensure a majority of votes in the House of Commons and the House of Lords. So the monarch had advisors and ministers, and so when he could rule, he had to work effectively with them to govern effectively. And these ministers and advisors were for the monarch in the parliament, and were talking to all these people there. And so that whenever there was a voting, more than half of them would agree to what the king wanted. There were two main groups in parliament. So we know it went end sometime there were Puritans in parliament and Protestant Puritans. Have you read anything to it? There was something about that. Let's just not go into it for now. Two main groups in the parliament known as Whigs and Tories. So one group were the Whigs and the others the Tories. These are the names. Whigs and Tories. The modern Conservative Party is still sometimes referred to as the Tories. So in the modern times there is a Conservative Party in Britain, and sometimes people, if they are referring to that specific Conservative Party, they are naming it Tories. This was the beginning of party politics, and they mean that now there were basically groups in the parliament. So people with a similar mindset and political views are coming together, and they have now and forming a party. Or if there's already a party with a similar mindset and similar ideas and points as they have, someone joins then that party. It says they are entering basically that club, and there are lots of people in these parties with a similar mindset. And there's a Conservative Party, and there are other parties, and someone could now have some ideas how politics should be. For example, if they want more socialized ideas or more conservative ideas, if we want more funding for schools or more funding for something else, then we could look which party is already there having this. We can also make an own party of. We can open an own party. There are restrictions, of course, how which party could be made and so on. But basically, the idea is if the person wants to do something, they can get together with a friend who has the same political views, who want both to fund schools or something, and then they can go into parliament and they get the votes. So this party, maybe we get a better explanation, and so when there's a group of, let's say, 20 people, they have all the same political opinions, and then there are these votes every 5 years, and then they're going around and saying, vote for us, and then the people maybe say, yes, we also want more money for schools, and then there's maybe another political party and another group of people, and they are saying, we want more funding for greater parks. And now the persons in Great Britain can vote, and they can say, I'm voting for the party who will go into parliament and say, we're giving $1 million for more schools, or we're giving $1 million for more for parks. And now they decide, this democracy, which party they are voting for. And now we're having here, then there's two main groups in this parliament, were the Whigs and the Tories back then. And today there's one party in Britain, and they are sometimes called the Tories, and people can vote for them. Something like that is the party system and democracy. Maybe we will get a better explanation, which is more fitful and so on, and more broader, more detailed, but at least a little idea to the political party system. And to also sort what we have, so that we can now look what we have, and now we can look what we have here, maybe better taught. The next exercise we are doing, let's do the pretzel curl. We're having the arms together, and we're going down with the arms and to the outside, and we're just concentrating on the movement which the scapulars are doing. So just concentrate, are the scapulars moving as they should? Or just observe them. The scapulars are not, so the bag is not the bag. In the bag there are more parts. And two of them are the scapulars. And they can be moved pretty individually. And the problem of shoulder impingement is that the scapulars are not moving as they should. Shoulder impingement is a problem of scapulars. The problem is that the scapula is too much in front. And if the humerus comes up, you can just put the shoulder in front, maybe not if it hurts or you have shoulder impingement. And if you now lift up, you just can't lift the arm up. Shoulder impingement is basically that the shoulder is too much in front and you can't lift the arm up. But if you lift it up, the tendons which are going through it are impinged. And now we're training the muscles back here with these exercises and also the movement of scapula. If the scapula comes back, and if it's back, the arm can just come up. And there's nothing impinged. That is shoulder impingement. It's just the scapulars are too much in front. The next exercise is the sundial, and it's the last one. You can use a sock or something like that, but it must be something which does not shatter if you will let it drop, and it should be also not too weighty. You just have it on the outside here, let it fall, and you catch it again. And on the other side. And the advantage of a sock over a tennis ball is that it's quiet if you drop it, and it will also not, if you miss it and it goes astray, shatter a display, a screen, a television or something which is standing around, because it's just light and drops to the ground. So one stretching exercise. We're bringing the arm in front and we're stretching the arm. So two main political parties formed, so two main groups formed. The Whigs and the Tories. And today there's still a Conservative Party in Britain, and they are sometimes referred to with Tories. And that was the beginning of the political party system in Britain. That was in 1689 with the Bill of Rights, which declared that the King confirmed the rights of Parliament and the limit of the King's power. We are having 70 seconds left. This was also an important time for the development of the free press. We're getting a half explanation of a free press. So we are not explaining now the press, but the free press. The free press are newspapers and other publications which are not controlled by the government. So that means a person or a group of people who are giving out a book or something, and that's not free press as far as I know. They are sitting together and they're writing an article and giving it out, and people and they are printing it on a piece of paper, and people can come and buy that piece of paper with the article on it, and they are free press if the government has nothing to say what they have written in it. So this was also an important time for the development of the free press, newspapers and other publications which are not controlled by the government. We will continue in the next part. I thank you very much, and until next time.